Summer in the capital, which is what we turn to now. A case in which a courageous young man received appalling head wounds. One newspaper described him as a have-a-go tramp. But the truth is that David Patterson had only been in London for 5 days and simply had nowhere to stay. As you'll see in this reconstruction, his heroism, and that of other bystanders, was by no means reckless. And the fact that he was shot shows the urgent need to catch the gunman and remove him from being a grave danger. For security reasons, certain details have been changed for this reconstruction. David Patterson arrived in London from Scotland sometime around the 21st of June. He grew up in the Gorbals district of Glasgow. According to his uncle, he travelled down to London to busk and maybe make his fortune.
I think he was hoping that somebody would see him, singing, playing the guitar, that somebody would pick him up. He's always wanted to make a tape or a record. He's done a lot of busking in Scotland, singing in the pubs, and he comes up to London, Manchester and Birmingham, because there's nothing in Scotland for him. Nothing.
Since David probably had no money when he arrived, he spent his first night sleeping rough underneath the arches of the festival hall. The South Bank is almost always busy, with hundreds of people visiting the many attractions. At lunchtime, there's live music at the festival hall, while underneath, crowds of youngsters gather to skateboard. At just after 10 to 2 on Monday, June the 26th, a couple visiting the Hayward Gallery remember passing a man dressed in combat clothing.
The SAS.
50 minutes later, at 2:40 p.m, a security van arrived at the National Theatre to collect the takings.
Turn around! Move along the van. Come on, move along, I said. Move it, quick. Move it, move it! Right. Put all the money in there, all of it now. Stay exactly where you are. Come on, get the money in there. Come on. Right, you're coming with me, come on.
There's a guy up there with a gun. He's trying to shoot.
David was outraged that the couple had been threatened.
I said, come on! Come here! Get back! Stay back or I'll shoot you!
David kept 30 feet behind the gunman, but it wasn't enough. On hearing that last gunshot, a security guard came out of the building opposite. He saw a man appear on level with Waterloo Bridge. A company executive returning from lunch also heard the shot and saw the man. The gunman made his escape along Waterloo Bridge, then down into a pedestrian subway called the Bull Ring. It's here that witnesses so far traced run out. The subway has many exits. Did he ride past you? David Patterson had been shot in the head with pellets scattered throughout the left side of the brain. The incident made headlines in London's evening paper and in the national press, and police hoped for a good response from the public. But someone somewhere was not pleased with the coverage. 4 days later, a package was delivered to the offices of the London Evening Standard. It contained items stolen in the raid, along with doctored newspaper cuttings and a message punched on dino tape.
Fired warning shots? I tell you what, you prepare a story and get John Stevens to alert the yard.
Okay.
10 weeks later, David is still in hospital, seriously ill.
David has certainly improved slightly since he's actually been in hospital, but he's still extremely poorly in many ways. He can't actually manage to walk on his own. He's very weak down the left side, has no movement down that side at all. David feels very frustrated at times. He loved playing the guitar, and he can't accept the fact at the moment that he can't play that. His left hand is weak, he can't possibly hold the guitar, or use that. He enjoyed walking as well. And all the things that one enjoys in life as a young person, he's unable to do.
It's an appalling crime. Bill Mellish, you're convinced because of the gunshots, I gather, there are still more witnesses to come forward. A lot of people must have seen this.
Yes, I think there was a lot of people out there that didn't perhaps appreciate the significance of what was happening or thought other people would come forward to police. The reality is that I want any witness that was out there that saw this guy without his balaclava, when he was chaining the bike up, when he was hanging around outside the Haywood Gallery for the hour before the robbery, or when he was making his getaway down Waterloo Bridge Road to the Bull Ring.
Well, there we have a Crimewatch video fit. Now, describe that man to us, what we know about him.
White, 28 to 30 years, 5'6", 5'8" tall, very thin, very thick lips. Witnesses describe him as a Woody Allen lookalike. He's a wimp, a callous wimp at that.
Now, we've got an artist's description of his bike as well, which might help.
Yeah, it's a gent's black sit-up-and-beg bicycle. Significantly, it's got a basket on the front and the back.
And an artist's impression, too, of the bag that he was carrying. We're not sure of the colour of that, I must be honest.
Possibly greenish, but the shape's right. It's a sports bag, a gun bag, leg of mutton bag, something like that.
Now, he is obviously, this man, desperately, oddly upset about the press coverage, and hence, this is all the original stuff that he sent to the London Evening Standard. How can people help about this?
I'd like somebody to tell me where this has been together. If they've seen this, the jiffy bag, the dynamo tape, the chocolate wrapper, the cuttings, all together in one place. I want to know where that was.
OK. Frequently on this programme, surprisingly frequently, people with quite long criminal records and certain criminal associations ring up and say, I'm just not prepared to tolerate that sort of crime, that level of violence. Do you expect that might happen in this case?
I honestly believe there's family, friends or associates out there that know this guy, know the identity of this guy. What I say is the next time he goes out with a loaded repeater shotgun, he's going to kill someone. I'd like to know who he is. I'd like them to give him up. There's a substantial reward, up to £15,000, being offered for his arrest and conviction. I'd like that information, please.
All right, well, here's the number. Straight here to the studio, 018118055. If you prefer, you can call the incident room on this case direct. That's another London number, 012302061.
First on BBC One, Nick Ross presents another reconstruction of real-life crime.
The flying squad is used to dealing with professional criminals who make their living by violent crime. Most are organised and associate in gangs. So this case was very unusual for us. The villain was a wimp, he worked on his own, and deep down he thought he was a bit of a Rambo.
About one case in every 3 that Crimewatch UK covers is eventually solved, but only about half of those as a direct result of calls from Crimewatch viewers. Tonight we report back on one of our reconstructions that didn't directly lead to a conviction, though something else did. It was an unusual case, and you may recall it. It took place here in London at the South Bank, an arts and entertainment complex where tourists come from all around the world and where homeless people gather from all over Britain. Two young Scotsmen met here, fleetingly, in 1989. One had turned into a villain. One was to turn into a hero.
What you got there?
David Patterson had always hoped to make it as a singer. He'd done a demo tape, and unknown to his father, 5 days ago, had travelled down from Glasgow.
When he was younger, he had a mind of his own and he done his thing. But a very lovable child and very extrovert and always clowning about and things like that. He always had a love of music. He was always playing a flute or a mouth organ or something or another.
You want some of this? No, no thanks.
David, like many youngsters who arrive in London, lived literally underneath the arches. But he managed to keep himself by busking along the riverside.
You got any change? In the chilly hours and minutes of uncertainty, I long to be in the warm heart of your loving mind. Feel you all around me and to hold your hand across the sand. But I might as well try and catch the wind. Any change? When the sundown pales the sky, I want to hide a while inside your smile. And everywhere I look, I see you. Me too. To make me sing.
Hey, Matty, get yourself over here a minute.
What's up?
Come here. See this?
What?
Bloody fly. Didn't get in there by itself, did it?
Stop. Turn round. Put the box on the floor. Piss off, mate. I said, give me the money.
Look, mate, it's locked up, so why don't you leave it, eh?
You in there. Push the money out.
He can't. It's bolted. It's in the safe.
Put your hands on the grill where I can see him, or else he gets it. Okay. You! Open it!
Look, mate, it's locked. Please.
Put the money in there. Fast!
I can't see any camera around either, can you?
No, yeah.
Somebody phone the police. Come on.
Okay.
Come on!
Okay, I'm doing it.
Quick! Quick!
Hey, he's scaring.
Over there! What? There's a robbery! He's got a gun! Faster! Pick the bag up! Give me the bag!
Come on, let's stand.
What?
Yeah, come on, we'll do it for Brett, man.
Over here!
There he goes!
Get back! He's got a gun!
All cars, L District, outside National Film Theatre, leave security vehicle under attack now. Leave shots fired.
Yes, received. L District will deal.
This chap came rushing up to this bicycle, stuffed his bags in the panniers, undid the bike, and left his chain hanging from the wall. It struck me that all wasn't really well. It was fairly obvious that there was something wrong, although I didn't know what it was. And I just made a point at the time. I knew that I had to. I just knew I had to take in every piece of information that was available.
David's head had taken the full force of the shotgun blast.
He would have died in moments were it not for two off-duty soldiers, Scots Guards trained as paramedics, who'd got there before the ambulance.
And we realised as soon as we saw him that he was in quite a state. His lips had gone quite blue, so we realised, you know, probably his heart had stopped beating and he'd stopped breathing. So Sean took control of the head end, doing the mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. I worked the heart.
At the same time, we had one of his friends around there shouting and screaming, like almost giving him a hard time. I had to tell him to shut up a few times because I was pretty wound up with the circumstances. So we administered first aid and tried to, you know, my job was to try and keep him alive as long as possible until the ambulances got here, which we did.
While David was being tended downstairs in the car park, the first coppers to respond were local CID.
When we first arrived at the scene, it was basically a scene of mayhem. There was a number of people standing around. There was a large hole in the van. We were surprised to be the first on the scene, as we'd been some distance from the call when we got it.
My mate's lying down there dead. Where the bloody hell were you? Go there and sort it out!
We also had to contend with the abusive vagrants that were in the area and also contain the witnesses that we had got to stop those from disappearing when other officers arrived.
Down there with a hole in his head!
All right, I'm going down there, all right, I'll go and find him. Yeah.
What are you waiting for? Just go and sort it out!
He's going to sort it out down there. Can somebody tell me what he actually looks like, this bloke?
It's
about 5'10".
What does it matter what he looks like?
It's going to be one at a time. Anybody who actually saw it, can you go and stand over there and we'll keep away from the van then, OK? Cheers.
I felt very nervous, very unsure of what I was going to see. People had said there was a body down there, somebody had been shot. I didn't know whether the man was going to be down there with a gun, but I thought that going down there by myself, that I may very well be the next person to be shot.
If you're looking for the gunman, I was chasing him. We went over the walkways and I lost him down by the bridge. Hungerford. He's going towards Westminster Bridge. So you've actually followed him, yeah? Lima Kilo from 1-5. Regarding the robbery at the South Bank, the suspect is male, IC1, 5'9", wearing a combat jacket and balaclava and is made off towards Westminster Bridge area. Over.
Yes, received. Flying squad are informed.
I can't find the body anywhere. There's loads of blood down there, but no body.
You can tell the flying squad.
When we saw the flying squad officers arrive, it was quite a relief, as we had been at the scene for some time. We also had a number of exhibits that had been handed to us from various places. And we had a scene where somebody had obviously been shot, but we had no body. So it was quite a relief to hand over.
All right, mate, yes, right. Flying Squad Tower Bridge. Officers from Kennington. There's been an armed robbery. A bloke's been shot in the underground car park. There's a friend of his here. There's a lot of cartridges down there. There's no body. Can't find the body anywhere. A lot of blood.
David had been rushed to St Thomas's, almost round the corner. He was still alive, but only just.
Two of these are spent, one's still alive. What's the chance of getting fingerprints off them?
There's quite a good possibility, actually.
Yeah, I was just coming out.
Yeah.
The Flying Squad, or Sweeney, are specialists in responding to armed robberies. DI Michael Brooker eventually took charge.
Well, when I first arrived, there were a number of officers on scene carrying out forensic examinations. We had to complete a thorough search of the area, which was very busy that time of the evening. In fact, we worked right the way through to around 11. It was mainly a process of collecting everything we could collect on that particular evening, because you won't get a second chance. All right, folks, I'm just going to go up and see John and come back and see what you've got. Right,
well, I found one boss who said he chased him over Hungerford Bridge and lost him the other side of the river, but I don't place much credence on what he's told us.
What about you, John? Any luck?
What's the hard work? I mean, they've all got a good drink inside them, and the varying descriptions, I just don't know. I don't know how you got on.
Yeah, I think the one thing that we have established is that there is just one lone gunman. He appears to be on his own, and we've just got a lot of misinformation that, you know, these cardboard city people are trying to give us.
And I was really shocked to see him on a life support machine in the state he was in, and it didn't look as if he was going to survive. From what I've heard from the doctor then, he had such a lot of damage to the brain, and what he said to me more or less was we just could do what we had to do and sort of stitch him up. And there's quite a lot of shot and everything else left in his head that they couldn't touch because it was in such a dangerous position.
OK, chaps, let's settle down. OK, our victim's a young Scots lad. He's 26 years of age. His name's David Patterson. He's in St Thomas's and his condition's critical. The prognosis is very bleak. Told if he was an older person, he'd have been dead. Hopefully he hangs on. In the meantime, we treat it as a murder inquiry. Now, John, you're monitoring his progress, yeah?
Yeah, that's right, sir. We're doing that every 4 hours, and should his condition deteriorate, the hospital are going to ring us straight away.
Lovely. Mickey, also, let's get on to security corps. Let's find out if they're offering a reward. There's some money up front. It might bring the information forward.
Right.
The padlock and chain, recovered from the railings. Vince, got to be fingerprinted as soon as possible.
Yes, sir.
John and Jeff. John, Jeff, let's find out where it was sold.
Right, Gov. How wide an area do you want covered?
In the short term, let's keep it to London.
Right.
Do you want market stalls covered as well, Governor?
Why not?
OK.
Now, Parnell seems to be our best witness so far. John, can you arrange that he goes up to SO11? Let's have a photo fit made of our suspect, so we've got a picture of him.
Yeah, that's organised, sir, for tomorrow afternoon, 2:30.
Lovely. John Ashton, Gary, let's concentrate on the bike. I can't imagine that he's legged it all the way home on a bicycle. There should be a second getaway vehicle, a van, something like that. Let's go down to the getaway area. Let's look for the vehicle. The cartridges, Vince, exhibits officer, down to you, up to the laboratory for fingerprinting, and then on to the firearms expert for whatever he can tell us.
Yeah, everything will be at the lab this morning, Governor.
Next meeting, 6 p.m. this evening. In the meantime, let's be professional and let's be successful.
Hello, Mr. Harrold.
Hello. Just dropping some stuff into my locker.
Right, we know what to do, don't you? Just sign yourself in. How are you feeling now? You feeling any better?
Oh, much better.
Yeah, you look better, actually. You were a bit peaky last time. Cold out there today, isn't it?
There we are, then.
OK. I'll see you when you come back down.
I'll see you later.
OK, bye.
Clear.
Okay.
Look, Mark. You want about 2 1/4, 2.5 inches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 1/4-ish.
Fine. OK, that'll do. Thanks a lot.
Hello, I was looking for Franco.
Yes, he's just finished shooting.
Hello, Franco. Have you got anything for us?
Yeah, I've just finished doing the range of firing tests. Now, if, as I suspect, they've used a short-barrel gun, then the distance the shot's been fired at is probably 10 feet.
Well, that's good. That confirms what the security guards have said.
OK. Come on, let's get out of here. I'll take you and show you what size shot's involved.
Right.
We should have samples of the ammunition that was used in our reference collection. Yeah, there you go. Right, these are interstate cartridges loaded with a fairly large-sized shot. There's only 9 to a cartridge, and that's quite unusual because normally we see cartridges used with about 200 pellets.
So what sort of difference would that make?
Well, over short distances, not much, but what it does mean is that a single pellet can cause more damage in its own right.
Can you tell what sort of gun was used?
Well, from what I've seen so far, I think it's a Winchester pump-action shotgun like this one, and probably the Ranger model, but with a much shorter barrel, perhaps cut back to where my thumb and finger are.
Let's do his nose. Now,
An artist, John Worsley, succeeded with the witness where an earlier photo fit had failed.
Reasonably thin, but it...
Richard Parnell was a remarkable witness. His recall and detail of the gunman was absolutely fantastic. As soon as I sat down with him, I was completely happy with his version of events, and from there on, we followed his direction.
Length is good, needs a bit more on the end.
A bit more blobby.
Is that about the right shape?
It's just one thing, Richard. Some of the witnesses say that he was wearing glasses. How do you feel about that?
Well, I thought he had glasses on, but when you look at someone with glasses, you look straight through the glasses. So
Because it makes a lot of difference. And let's put them in anyway, because they're thin ones like mine?
Yes, they'd have been sort of the gold rimmed sort. When we did the photo fit pictures, all the bits that they'd given me to play with didn't come up with anything that looked remotely like the villain. And the opportunity to go and work with the artist was for me much more satisfying, because at the end of the day, what he did was actually put on paper what I saw.
Yes. That would be better done.
Yes.
Is that about enough?
It's amazing. Isn't
Deep
it?
enough?
Yeah. It's like looking at the chap.
Good. Good. Do you think we're on target?
Yeah, I mean it's really
You think
it's
better
really
with
him
it?
now. Yes. I mean these photo fits are okay, but there's nothing like the real thing.
Why you get me here in such a hurry? You know I've got to go to work.
Sit down. Sit down. Do you want a cup of tea or something?
No, I don't have time.
I just wanted to talk to you. Did you hear about the big robbery?
What robbery?
Security van on the South Bank. Well, it was me. I did it. Over £20,000.
How? How did you do it?
It was easy. Just as I planned. I wasn't scared. I told the guard to give me the money, and he gave me the money. A few people were watching on that, and I went to the car park and was chased. So I said to him, "Get away, you bastards." A man was hiding behind the post, and I fired, and he stuck his head out, and there was this noise, and I didn't mean to shoot his head, but if he hadn't been standing there at that moment, I would never have done it. He interfered when he shouldn't have done.
Michael, what have you done? You shot someone. The police will get you.
No. No, they won't. There's no clues.
Why didn't you tell me?
I'm telling you now.
Look, I've got to go. I'm already late for work. We'll talk more later.
Don't go yet.
Yes, hello, it's DC Mead, phoning from the incident room at Kennington Police Station. We're investigating a shooting where a quantity of interstate shotgun cartridges were used. I'm wondering if you could supply me with a list of customers who you regularly supply to in the London area, please.
I understand you witnessed part of an incident on the South Bank the other day, where a man was shot after a robbery.
Which I believe is an unusual.
I'd like to take a statement from you. Would that be possible?
That's right, yes.
Where the suspect got away on a
all I
pedal
need
cycle.
is a list of...
Yeah, I know it's a bit unusual, but it does happen occasionally. We're trying to trace the model of bike. If I give you a description, could you point me in the right direction?
Lovely. Thank you very much. Okay. Bye-bye.
Hello there. Hello. From the flying squad at Scotland.
The getaway bike had been recollected by their star witness with as much detail as the gunman's face. DS Terry Hobbs was detailed to find out what it was and where it came from.
I wonder if you sell any cycles like this.
We sell one very similar to that, sir.
You do?
Just because look at it.
I'd love to.
This way, please.
OK, thanks.
This is the cycle I'm thinking of, the Apollo commuter.
Excuse me, sir. In the incident room at Tower Bridge, can you tell me, do you stock this type of chain?
Yes.
And the padlock?
Yes.
Is that just this store or any hardware store?
Well, I would say a majority of good hardware stores throughout the country, yes.
Throughout the country?
Yes.
Excuse me, can I have a word for a moment? Lucy Bromwich from Kennington. We're doing an inquiry into an attempted murder that occurred last week. Were you in the area at all?
1 week to the day after David's shooting, pictures of the gunman were shown to everyone who visited or worked at the South Bank.
Do you come around here often?
I come round here, but I wasn't
But
here.
you wasn't here last Monday?
No.
He may have been around this area. I wondered if you could just have a look, see if you recognise him at all.
Sorry.
Would you all have a look, please?
When the initial clues came to nothing, I was fairly convinced that we'd either catch this man by information from the public only, or if he committed another robbery and left some clues.
gracious. He wasn't a hero, he was a nutter. What's this? And the suicide. John, Colin, you got a second, quick? Look at this amazing stuff that's just been delivered to us in this envelope. It's a dyno tape and checks.
Look, don't touch them.
Well, no, sorry, John. You're the expert on this. What is that?
Look, National Film Theatre.
Well, this looks quite
That
important
looks
stuff.
very much to me as though it must come from the South Bank shop.
As John said.
There's no doubt at all I would think this is a genuine thing.
And we've got some strange character as well. Look what he's done to these headlines.
Yes, look.
Nut.
He wasn't a hero, he was a nutter and a suicidal idiot, as were the other dossers. There was a dosser in that South Bank shooting, wasn't there?
There was.
The have-a-go idiot involved himself in something that didn't concern him.
Sounds a right callous sod, doesn't he?
He does, doesn't he? Yeah. All my warnings were ignored. It was either him or me, so in the end, there was only one way to stop him. And I stopped him. My mitigation
argument is this. It was a blackguard's self-defense. These have-a-go idiots get everything they bloody well deserve.
Just looking at the time, we've only got about 10, 15 minutes for deadline. This looks like a major development in this story, and I think we've got a good front page. We better start moving quickly on this. Would you mind hanging on a second? I'll pass you over to D.I. Brooker. Governor, it's the Evening Standard. They've got a package from our robber. It sounds genuine. Will you have a word?
Yeah, sure. D.I. Brooker, can I help you? So you've got the checks. What else have you got with them? Right. Can I ask you not to touch anything too much, and we'll be straight over and collect it? Thank you very much. John, better go on to Vince straight away and get them to go to the Evening Standard building in Kensington. They've got a package there been sent by a robber. It's got the cheques and the bank in it. It's got to be genuine.
That might be the bit of luck we've been looking for, Governor. I'll get hold of Vince, get him down there straight away.
This is Vince Payne from the firing squad.
Hello, we haven't met before, I don't think, have we?
No. What exactly have you got?
John Stevens. Well, this is it.
We were all very excited. We thought this was the first breakthrough in this inquiry. We were hoping to get fingerprint evidence and other evidence from that package, and this was the first contact we'd had from the gunman, and we were completely satisfied by the checks in that package that this was in fact the gunman communicating with us.
The contents of the bag at first proved disappointing to forensic analysts. Above all, there were no fingerprints on any of the clippings or the messages. But then there were the checks.
When the checks arrived, we were all excited because we knew from the way that they'd been packaged inside the jiffy bag that the gunman must have touched them. So therefore, we then had to go back to the people that had issued them, the banks that had accepted them, to get elimination fingerprints from all those people before we could then search on any outstanding marks on those checks. It was a long, painstaking, laborious task, obviously, tracing all the people that issued the checks. I think we traced 90% of them, but there were those that we were unable to trace that were out of the country.
When that came to nothing, it obviously was very disappointing. But it showed from the writings in which he was totally unrepentant about what he'd done, that this was a very callous individual.
Though the contents of the jiffy bag had proved a disappointment, a barcode on the bag itself led to W.H. Smith. A detective went to visit branch by branch.
And we're trying to identify this man who bought a jiffy bag in one of your stores in South London. I wonder if you could help us.
Crikey, we get an awful lot of people going through each of our stores every day. We do, however, have a video system whereby each sale is actually recorded.
If I was able to establish that a jiffy bag was bought, say at 11:10 on the 22nd of June, could I then refer to the video to establish the identity of that person?
Certainly you could. On the video, it should record that it actually was a stationary transaction, and it should also give you the identity of the individual who bought it.
That's great. Now, is there any chance of having all the till rolls and the videos for the last 10 days so that we can look through them at our leisure?
You certainly can. I've got a room full of till rolls downstairs.
Obviously, it was very long, tedious and boring, and most people think our job's exciting all the time, and sometimes it isn't. Obviously, hundreds of cups of coffee were drunk, but we realised that we did have a chance, a very realistic chance, of identifying the gunman from the video and from the till receipts.
With so much effort coming to nothing, DS John Stratford eventually proposed a national appeal. 3 months after David Patterson was shot, the case finally appeared on Crimewatch. But there was another similar tragedy this summer in the capital, which is what we turn to now. A case in which a courageous young man received appalling head wounds. David Patterson...
We were hoping that the jiffy bag, the chocolate wrapper, the Dymo tape and other bits and pieces all together, coupled with the artist's impression of the suspect, together somebody should know something.
I want to know where that was. OK. Frequently on this programme, surprisingly frequently, people with quite long criminal records ring up.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if this bloke rings up himself.
I don't think these daft enough to pull a stunt like that.
Do you expect that might happen in this case?
I honestly think there's family,
Incident room, can I help you? Right, can I take your name first?
I'd like to know who he is. I'd like to give him
Hello, Incident Room, can I help you? Yes.
Being offered for his arrest.
Yeah, where do you think you've seen the man?
OK, and what information do you have?
Yeah, can I take your name, please?
If you prefer, you
Uh-huh.
can call the incident room.
And what phone number are you calling on?
We had a tremendous response from Crimewatch. We had about 90 to 100 calls from members of the public giving us names as to the suggestion of the identity of the gunman.
Are these all our main suspects?
Yeah, they are at the moment. They seem to be the best ones we've got.
Well, looking at them all, I certainly fancy this Tony Harrold.
Why'd you say that?
Well, he fits the bill description-wise, comparing that him with the artist's impression.
Has he got any form for blagging?
Yeah, when I was in Battersea, I arrested him for robbery.
And where's his drum? Also, it gave us that unique opportunity of getting our artist's impression shown nationally. And in fact, we did get calls from various parts of the country.
Yeah, he's certainly a favourite.
Yeah, let's get him in then.
OK.
I want to ask you some questions about an armed robbery and shooting which occurred on Monday, the 26th of June this year.
As a result of Crimewatch, a number of suspects had to be interviewed in detail and eliminated.
Yeah, I know where it is, but I've never been there.
Do you know what you were doing that day?
That would have been the Monday after my birthday, so I was probably either with my girlfriend all day or working. And if I'm not working, I'm usually out with my girlfriend.
Doing what?
Yeah, housework.
Do you own a car?
No, I don't drive. I don't like driving.
You might find this a strange question, but have you got a push bike?
I did have. Yeah, I used to drive it to college. But I got pleurisy last year, so I had to get rid of it. It's bad for my chest.
I've got to put this to you, Tony. Did you commit this offence?
Not at all. Most certainly not.
Before I conclude this interview, is there anything you want to say to me?
Yeah. If I'd done it, and if I had all that money, you wouldn't have picked me up in Battersea.
Why'd you say that?
I'd have gone to Brazil, mate.
There was a substantial reward offered for the apprehension of the gunman, and we decided that if we got into the criminals in South London, particularly in the Old Kent Road area, as we believed that he lived in that direction, then we may have got some vital information.
How's it going?
Hi, mate. How are you?
Not bad.
What are you doing on this neck of the woods?
On this South Bank shooting. You know this other go bloke had half his head blown off?
Yeah, don't know anything about it. Nobody I know.
We're putting the feelers out. There'll be a good drink in it at the end of the day.
OK, I'll keep you up on that. No problem.
Do you want a drink?
No, I'm all right, thanks.
You sure?
Yeah, cheers. Cheers.
Hold a bit, please, darling.
I am the bomber robber. At this very moment, you have a high explosive bomb attached to your security vehicle. It is designed for one purpose: to kill. You will all die if you do anything stupid.
Having exhausted most of the things we could possibly have done on the inquiry, I was beginning to feel that the only way we would arrest this man would be if somebody were to inform upon him, or if he were to commit a repeat crime, which would leave us with other clues.
For 3 months, the appeal on Crimewatch had kept the case alive. But by Christmas, the shooting looked like going unresolved. David himself, conscious now but brain damaged, was transferred to a long-stay unit, St Andrews in Northampton.
Hello? Is that the police? I don't give my name, but I know who can tell you who shot the man and took the money.
The inquiry had been wound down for some time, and I was disappointed that so much hard work had gone unrewarded. Thus, when I heard that a witness was available, the senior officer in the City of London, he seemed confident that his source was credible. And when I met him a day or so later and spoke with him in detail, I was convinced that the information he was giving us was true. He was privy to certain information, certain detail that we hadn't released to the public, and he had to be telling the truth. Now, I understand you're going to tell me about a Michael Harrold who committed the South Bank robbery on the 26th of June, where a man was shot in the head. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
How long have you known this Michael Harrold?
Roughly about 18 years.
What robberies has he told you that he's done?
He was always planning them, but he never done them.
What do you mean by that?
He would make excuses like the van didn't turn up, or it was too wet, or the trains were on strike. He showed me guns. He keeps them in a storage unit, and before in a trunk.
You've known about the robbery since June. How's it taking you so long to come and see police?
Because he told me he was going to do another robbery, and I thought he would shoot someone again.
How do you know he was going to do another robbery?
He said he needed money to go and live in Thailand.
Mr. Chu, where does Michael Harrold live?
In a hotel in Bayswater, the Linden.
Mr. Chu, thanks very much. Jeff, let's call out Terry Hobbs, get a warrant for firearms and turn over the storage unit at Battersea. Let's get the surveillance up to the hotel, see how our suspects coming or going, and let's call out as many squad officers as possible down to the local police station.
OK, there's the notes.
Mr. Chu, that afternoon, having just had the conversation with him, an officer was dispatched to a bank that allegedly held documents belonging to the suspect. A safety deposit box was opened and correspondence including a passport was recovered. And on the passport was a photograph which apparently was identical to the artist's impression. So at that juncture, I thought that we were most likely to lay hands on our suspect that evening.
Hello there, my name's Terry Hobbs. I'm from the flying squad at Scotland Yard. I'm making some inquiries about an offence in which firearms have been used, and I believe that the guns may actually be stored here. If I describe the man concerned, you may recognise him. He's about 5'6", slight build, he wears glasses and got a Scots accent, and you might think that when you're talking to him, he seems a bit weird. Does that ring any bells?
Oh, you must mean Mr. Harrold.
That's him.
He's ever such a polite little man, but he is a bit funny, actually.
Has he got any lockers here?
Yeah, he's got 2 of our smaller ones out the back. He comes in a few times a week.
I need to look into them. I've got a search warrant. Could you take me to them?
Yeah, but I haven't got a key. They're all padlocked up.
We can manage that. Have you got any bolt croppers?
Yeah, I'll just get them for you.
OK, thanks.
We've had a result.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the guns. It's great.
Let's leave it as it is. We'll have it photographed. Then we'll take it back to the Nick and go through it properly.
I've had a quick look in. Only one person, a man, behind reception.
Outside the hotel in Bayswater, plain-clothed officers covered both sides of the road in case their suspect put in an appearance.
Yeah, can you make sure the car is pulled up and both people in the car are moved up as soon as possible?
They'd frequently swap places in a car around the corner.
Do you want to let them know we're here, John?
Yeah. You're 50 from 6573. We've got eyeball, nice clear unobstructed view of the hotel in the main street. Eyeball over.
Yes, received.
Should be right, at least we're in the warm.
Yeah.
Don't know how long we're going to be here, though.
Hours, I expect.
No mind.
Have to see about getting something to eat later on.
The contents of the lockup were transferred to safekeeping and for checking at Tower Bridge.
One hunting knife, one sheath. 2 orange handheld smoke flares. 1 Astor 357 handgun. 1 shoulder holster. Ammunition belt. Blue cartridges, the type we're looking for.
1 black folder containing correspondence, namely a handwritten note about cop killing guide. Now this is interesting. A handwritten work plan about the Hayward Gallery and the National Film Theatre. This is typed information about plastic explosives, how to make them from common ingredients. It looks like he was declaring war on security companies.
Right, I've got a quantity of gun, magazines, soldier of fortune, the usual sort of gun nut stuff. 1 green camouflage jacket. A quantity of either flares or explosive devices in an ammunition box. I don't know what this thing is over here. Oh, God, I think I've set off a bomb!
It was a bomb, and for safety, DC Ashton put it in the empty staff canteen. It was eventually made safe, but it was a warning to the surveillance team of what might be in store at the hotel. In the early evening, officers, one from the flying squad and another from the firearms team, wandered into the hotel reception to see where Michael Harrold was.
Thank you, Brendan. Thanks, Larry. Actually, while we're talking, Pat, I should remind you that today we're holding the grand final of our...
Excuse me, are you the manager?
Yes, I am.
I'm Detective Sergeant Wright. I'm from the flying squad at Tower Bridge Police Station. I'm trying to identify a man who I believe lives here. He's quite a small man, about 5'5", slim build, wears glasses.
Ah, it sounds like Mr. Harrold. Yes, he lives here. He's a quiet man. Keeps himself to himself, but he always pays his rent on time. Is there a problem?
Well, we'd like to interview him about something that we're dealing with at the moment. Do you know if he's in?
I believe he is, yes.
Would you have a similar room available that we could look at? Same as his?
Yes, I've got a room that's like his, yeah, it's no problem.
Tony, do you want to check that out?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's this way.
Thanks.
Right, and the surveillance update, it's all quiet back at the hotel. There's no sign of the suspect having come and going. The manager reckons he's in his room. We'll have to take his word for it.
Sorry, Rebecca.
Sorry, come on. Come on, sit down, lads. You've got a description of the room. You know there's a likelihood of firearms inside the room. And in the light of the discovery this afternoon of the explosive devices down at his lockup, there's a possibility that the place may be wired up. So I just ask you to take extra special care. Now, once you've gone in, effected the entry to the room, handcuffed the suspect, Mr. Searchwell will go in and formally arrest him and caution him. He will be followed by Vince, the exhibits officer, who will go in and search for clues and exhibits. That's the squad input, Norman.
OK, Bill, thanks. Can I just make a couple of points? First of all, to the specialist firearms officers, you've already had your pre-brief with regard to this operation. If I refer you to the map here, you can see it's a small room. We've got to be very careful on entry. We've got to make a rapid entry to those premises. On any weapons we find there, remember to leave them in situ until they've been cleared by the exhibits officer. With regard to the squad officers, please remember to stay at the forming up point, which is on the stairs. Stay on the stairs until you're called forward by the sergeant in charge of the firearms team. It's imperative that you don't move until you're called by him. OK, are there any questions at all from anybody? No. OK, let's go.
At 2 a.m., the team closed in.
Well, we'd seen at first hand what he could do, and that was as evidenced by Mr. Patterson's plight. And we then knew that he would be very dangerous, and we couldn't really take the chance. He didn't have a weapon with him as well.
What we'll do then, we'll get the team up in position, and when they're there, we can give it a go.
Smashing.
OK, in position. And I'll get us happening.
OK, team from 5-9, I have control. Stand by, go.
Get on your belly. Put your hands out to your side. Look at me. Look at me. Put your hands in the middle of your back. Put your hands in the middle of your back. Keep looking at me.
Form a fist. Form a fist. Let go. Form a fist.
Do as you're told. Keep looking at me. Keep looking at me.
Right, it's clear. OK. Right, Gov, room is clear. I've got one prisoner who's secure.
OK, everything's safe?
Yes, no problems.
Mr. Harrold, I'm arresting you because I believe you were concerned in an armed robbery at the South Bank Centre on the 26th of June last year. During that robbery, a man was shot in the head. You're not obliged to say anything unless you wish to do so, but what you say may be given in evidence. Do you understand?
Yes.
OK.
But I think you'll find you're making a big mistake.
I'm done, I think.
Here, look at this, Governor.
This envelope, marked forward planning, Mr. Harrold, contains some handwritten notes. Are they yours?
Yes.
These notes are about attacks on security vehicles. Are you planning any armed robberies?
That's just fantasy. You have to be macho to do that, and look at me. Do I look macho?
I'm interviewing. Please introduce yourself.
Michael James Harrold.
The other person present is...
Miss Quest, legal representative.
There are no other persons present. I'm going to ask you some questions about an armed robbery that took place on the 26th of June, 1989. This was at the South Bank, South East 1, during which time a security guard was robbed at gunpoint and a member of the public. Are you the person that committed the offence?
No comment.
This lone robber made good his escape on a cycle, and a witness described this person to me, and I have to say that you are extremely like the description that I've been given. Are you sure you're not responsible for committing this offence?
No comment.
You're saying no comment. We need to establish a pattern here. Are you saying to me that you don't wish to answer my questions, or that you're not in a position to do so?
No comment.
But the evidence was overwhelming. Just before the trial, Michael Harrold changed his tune.
I was pleased that he pleaded guilty because that was appropriate to the amount of hard work that had gone into the investigation in providing plenty of strong evidence that he was the guilty party. So that was pleasing that he pleaded guilty. The sentence of 22 years, again, was appropriate. It was a wicked, horrid crime committed by a parasite, and he deserved 22 years.
I always knew he was a meticulous and very logical individual, but on reading much that he'd written, it became clear that he saw the world as a place where you were a have or a have not, and his answer to that was that he was going to be a have by taking it by force.
I suppose there are two things that struck me about the whole incident. The first was the general level of professionalism of the police, and the sort of thing that's easy to take for granted. You realise the sort of depths that they went to, and the diligence. You've got no idea until you actually get involved in this sort of thing exactly what's involved. And the other is that with a crime like this, it never quite leaves you. Never quite leaves you.
Today, David is still in hospital. He needs 24 hours a day care. Still paralysed down one side and doesn't have a lot of sight in one of his eyes. I think one is practically gone, actually. And he's never going to be anywhere else.